Oh, it tasted so good. He ate so many of the bars, I don't know that I got any. And then I had to make them again so that I could have some. If you love chocolate, I've got you covered. This dessert is so delicious that when you find out it's secretly healthy, you're gonna be like, what the fudge? Let's get to it. Today we're making one of my favorite recipes, chocolate oatmeal no-bake bars. I'm gonna start with some peanut butter here. There are plenty of chocolate oatmeal no-bake bar recipes out there. You can find plenty of them online. But the special thing about these bars is that they have no refined sugar. They have much less sugar in general than normal chocolate oatmeal no-bake bars, and they taste just as good. I really like to use the food scale for this recipe. You can just measure everything into a bowl. You don't have to worry about getting the peanut butter out of the measuring cup or getting the oil out of the measuring cup. You just stick everything onto the food scale and you only have one bowl to clean. It's fantastic. I recommend a food scale to pretty much everyone. I won't shut up about it, and people are like, oh yeah, I don't need that. That sounds like something for clean eaters. No, it's perfect for everyone. There's a use that you can find for a food scale. My mom, she was one of the people who was skeptical about it in the beginning, but I turned her on to the idea and she's warmed up to it. And now she's like, where's the food scale? I need the food scale. I don't know how much milk to put in my coffee. And now I'm gonna add some maple syrup. You can use agave, you can use your favorite liquid sweetener. I use maple syrup, it's my go-to. I like to formulate my recipes so that they can be adaptable to different diets. I know that a lot of different readers are on different types of diets. Some are vegans, some are gluten-free, some are on the keto diet, some are on the paleo diet. I want as many readers to be able to make each recipe as possible. Especially readers with children, I get a lot of them writing into me and thanking me for including recipes that don't have eggs or don't have dairy or don't have common allergens, or even just recipes that do have something like nut butter, but where I give a substitution, because then their child can be included too. The last thing you want somebody to tell a child is, you can't have that chocolate cupcake. I don't want to be the person who tells children that. I don't want to be the person who tells anybody that. Everyone should be able to enjoy delicious desserts. I do include calories because I know a lot of people are counting calories. I include Weight Watchers points for the same reason, but I don't want people to look at desserts as numbers. And that's the reason that I started creating healthy desserts in the first place. I wanted it to be healthy so that I could enjoy more of it, but I wanted to enjoy the flavor and the taste and the texture. I don't want them to think, oh, this is good, it would be better if it were the unhealthy version, but at least I'm saving calories. Life is too short for that. And now instead of butter, to make them vegan and also healthier, I'm going to use some coconut oil. And you don't even use that much, you don't use even half a cup for the entire recipe. Most of the recipes you'll find online, they call for a crazy amount of butter. These are just as good, they don't need all that extra fat. One of the main ingredients in these chocolate oatmeal no-bake bars is coconut oil. I use coconut oil instead of butter. It makes them vegan, it makes them cholesterol-free, and it also solidifies when it's hardened, so the bars are solid without having to actually bake them. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on the stove, and you want to mix this all together and heat it up on low until you can't really see 3 different ingredients, you can only see 1. For this one I used crunchy peanut butter. You can use smooth if you prefer. I just prefer crunchy peanut butter in general. If you don't want to use peanut butter, you can also use almond butter, you can use sunflower butter. It's whatever you prefer, really. Being a vegan can be expensive if you buy all of the specialty ingredients and the fake meat products and a lot of the processed foods and packaged foods. But if you use a lot of natural foods, whole foods, just shop the perimeter of the grocery store, so start in the vegetable section and eat vegetables and fruits. Peanut butter is not very expensive, and I can get a case discount if I buy it a case at a time, which I need to do. It really is less expensive than meat. I mean, go out to a restaurant and see how much a salad costs or how much a steak costs. My meals are usually less expensive than someone that I'm dining with who's eating meat. A lot of times you'll see healthy desserts that can get to be really expensive when you add up all the ingredients together and the amounts that you would pay to buy each specific ingredient, which is especially true if you're buying an ingredient just for that specific recipe. You don't want to spend $18 on one ingredient if the recipe only makes 8 servings. You just made a really expensive chocolate cake. So I try to make recipes that use affordable and easy to find ingredients. So now the important part, the oats, because they're chocolate oatmeal bars. So I'm gonna do 2 cups of oats and then just a pinch of salt. I like to add salt, especially when you have peanut butter, you know, like the salty sweet. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract, just half a teaspoon. And I use pure vanilla extract, not imitation, because imitation gives it a little bit of a strange taste. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And because I'm using the food scale, I know that a 1/4 cup is 20 grams. I first started using a food scale a few years into blogging. I'd never heard of a food scale before. I'd never thought to use one. Anytime I could find something that was a useful gadget and try it out, I was all for it. And I tried it and obviously fell in love with it. Turn that off the heat, it doesn't need to melt anymore. So I'm just gonna stir this together until the quick oats are evenly coated. It will look dry at first. Just continue to stir and it will get thinner and thinner. Because they don't require an oven, the chocolate oatmeal no-bake bars are a great recipe to make when it's warm outside in the summer, but I actually came up with the recipe in the winter. I had a friend visiting from California, and the friend decided to pick the giant snowstorm we had in Washington, D.C. that year as the weekend to visit. And I had nothing in my house. I didn't know what to use. I didn't have all of the ingredients for black bean brownies. I didn't have all of the ingredients for any of the recipes that came up on the top of my head. And I also kind of wanted to make something new. So I just pulled out every ingredient that I could think of that sounded good, like my favorite ingredients: peanut butter, cocoa powder, oats, and coconut oil. If I like all these ingredients by themselves, probably mixing them all together and making something would probably be not bad. Oh, it tastes so good. He ate so many of the bars. I don't know that I got any. Now this looks about done. The oats are pretty much evenly coated, so I'm going to transfer this to a pan now. I didn't really learn to cook until I was a teenager. I'd just gone vegan and I was living in China. They didn't have like all the vegan prepared meals, all the microwave meals that you could just pop in the microwave and eat. And my mom was making food for the rest of the family, so she wasn't gonna cook 2 meals. So I bought a cookbook and we started experimenting. She would make 1 recipe a week that was vegan, that was the deal. And I learned to cook for the other days for myself. And I learned that I really, really enjoyed it. I lived in Japan for 4.5 years. So really I grew up in Japan. People ask me where I'm from. Sometimes I wanna say, well, I'm from Japan because that's where I spent my formative years. Pocky reminds me of when I was little and it was my sister's and my favorite snack. And then when we moved back to the States, we couldn't get it for years. And now you see it everywhere. It's just one of those things that like reminds me of childhood. Growing up in Asia has definitely influenced my recipes. Definitely the beans and dessert thing. Growing up in Japan, I'd heard of that before, I tried it before, so it wasn't weird to me. I'm definitely a very adventurous eater. I like having a lot of variety. I'm not one of those people who eats the same thing every day. And I have my parchment-lined 8x8 pan, and I'm just gonna transfer everything in. I mean, I just kind of want to eat the batter right now. And now you just use the spoon to just smash it all down. You want to really press hard and really make sure that you get it into the edges of the pan. You want to use your hands and you don't mind getting them messy, you can do that too. When you're making the chocolate oatmeal no-bake bars, you really want to press it down really well into the pan. Just press it down with as much force as you possibly can to really make sure that they stick together. And then as soon as you chill them, you can cut them into bars and then they're pretty solid. I use peanut butter for these bars, but you could use almond butter if you prefer. If you want to make them nut-free, you can use sun butter. You can use coconut butter. Just gonna press down the sides a little bit. All right, these look great. They are ready to go. I'm just going to put them in the fridge, or if you prefer, you can put them in the freezer. All right, these are nice and chilled, so now I'm gonna cut them into bars. These are one of my favorite recipes because they have 3 of my favorite ingredients, really. Chocolate, oatmeal, and peanut butter. I store these in the fridge or freezer because of the coconut oil. They're best kept chilled. So even though these are made of healthy ingredients, they taste amazing. But don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself.